Well, the fermented mandarin fish pizza in front of us looks really enticing, but um,
Smells
first
so
thing is
good.
first. Welcome to the Chat Lounge. I'm Yun. In this episode of our special series, My Expat Life in Rural China, we meet American Adrien Brill and his Chinese wife, Chiu Tong, who opened a pizzeria a few months ago in a small village in East China's Anhui province. They're also rising food influencers with hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. It's really nice to have you both on the show, Chotong and Adrian.
Thanks for
Thanks.
having us.
Hey, and actually, we're now sitting on the back terrace of their pizzeria, La Pizza d'Adrien in Nanshinan Village. Co-hosting the show with me today is my colleague Guo Yan. Thank you, Guo Yan, for joining the chat.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Right. And thanks again to Chotong and Adrian for accommodating us. So, first of all, Adrian, give us a brief introduction of yourself. What brought you to China in the first place? Was it because of Chotong?
um, what brought me to China was the desire to learn Chinese, actually.
Mm,
From a very young age, I became interested in China and Chinese, the culture and the language. And so, actually, the first time I came to China was in 2006 when I was in high school. And I had a wonderful experience, and I really fell in love with the people and the culture and the country in general. And so I made it my goal that after I graduated from high school to find some way to come back to
mm.
China. I knew I wanted to come back. And so I ended up coming back when I was 18 years old in 2009. And I volunteered at a kindergarten for a year first, teaching English. And of course, I continued to fall in love with the country and the people. And so I decided that I didn't want to leave. And so I ended up staying. And I studied Chinese at Sichuan University.
Nice.
And so it was in my time studying at Sichuan University that I met Tong.
That's brilliant.
Adrian, you've been good at so many things. I remember you play guitar, you play piano, and
Huh.
you are trilingual. You
Uh,
speak Chinese, English, and French. Why did you decide to spend so much of your time making pizza?
And German as well. I have to.
Really?
Right.
oh,
It's
no,
like.
no, no. No, let's just keep it to bilingual. Let's just say, um, so, so you asked me why I make pizza?
hmm
Um,
I don't even know.
yeah, I don't even know.
I'm
Simply
curious
because
too.
it's delicious, I
hmm
suppose. I really love pizza, and pizza is something that um, it does require a lot of skill actually to make.
Mm.
hmm
And so it's been kind of a challenge that I've put myself up to over the past few years, trying to perfect the pizza. And now I feel like I'm getting closer.
But
Yeah.
why not hamburger? You're American.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, why not hamburger? Because hamburgers are simple. Hamburgers
Um,
are also delicious. I love hamburgers. I mean, it's just kind of just I don't really know. I love pizza, and a couple months ago, I really got into it. I invested in some equipment, and I went out and participated in several like little street fairs, and I sold my pizza, and had a pretty good reaction
mhm.
with the people who were eating it. They thought it was really good. And even before that, when I would make pizza at home for my friends or whatever, they said, "Wow, your pizza's really good. Like you could totally sell this."
Mm.
And so that's kind of how I started selling pizza, just because friends and family thought it was really good, and they
Mm.
said you should totally do this, and so I did it.
You
Is
find it.
stinky
Yeah.
Mandarin fish pizza the most popular with your clients so far?
The this yeah, 臭鳜鱼, this preserved mandarin fish is really popular with tourists.
Right.
So like, we're in a tourist destination here in Nanshinan, and over the holidays when there's a large amount of tourists here, the choguiyu pizza sells really well.
Mm.
Um, but as for the locals, I feel like when locals come to 中的小食堂, La Pizza d'Adrien to get pizza, they don't really want to eat the local cuisine or the local flavor. They're more interested in trying something more authentic,
Mm.
and so they often get more authentic flavors.
But this is your
Mhm.
signature pizza.
Yeah, this is kind of our signature special pizza.
Mhm.
It's our first kind of creative
Right.
pizza where we mix local cuisine with Western cuisine.
There, there's a story behind this pizza, right? How you created this whole thing.
Yeah, so how I created this whole thing is also when I first started doing my TikTok,
Mhm.
I was a food vlogger and I was invited to participate in a preserved mandarin fish cooking competition.
Mm.
And so I was really surprised and nervous, and I didn't really know how I should even participate in this competition because, I'm not a professional hui chef. Obviously, I can't actually compete, right?
Mm.
So I just thought, what makes me unique? What makes me special? What can I do that's different, that's interesting?
Mhm.
Um, and I just had this amazing idea to take the chow gui yu, the preserved mandarin fish, and make a pizza with it because it's actually not such a crazy idea.
Right.
In the West, we
Mhm.
have lots of preserved or salted fish, like anchovies or whatever, and they're commonly put on pizzas. Yeah.
I understand you've learned how to cook a Chinese cuisines from your father-in-law, Chotong's father. Is, is it?
From her grandma,
From my
actually.
Oh,
grandma, yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, so her grandma is a master home cook,
Right.
right? She makes the best home cooked meals and uses all local ingredients, things that she even grew herself, things that she preserved herself, things that she dried herself, um, from animals that she raised herself. And so it's just the best ingredients that you could
Mhm.
possibly have, and then cooked in a really traditional, really loving way. And so, from the beginning, I kind of expressed my interest in local cuisine and in cooking in general. And her grandma and I kind of hit it off a little bit, like
Uh,
talking about the food and the cooking, and like whenever we would go over for dinner, uh, if there was something that wasn't finished, she'd be like, "Oh, Joel, and finish it," right? And I'd be like,
Okay.
"Okay, I gotta finish it," right? And so I would always eat way too much.
uh,
And then, yeah, we would chat, and I would ask her how she makes some things, uh, and then when we started making videos, we thought it would be fun if we could kind of work together and make a few
Mhm.
videos together where she would teach me
mm.
some of her tricks.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
a grandma do.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of videos
Mm.
and TikTok, I know you have over 100,000 followers on TikTok
Yeah.
or Chinese version of Douyin.
Yeah.
What's your perspective roles in the operation of the pizzeria and Douyin or TikTok?
Mm. So
Did,
like
Okay.
the
yeah,
relationship between Douyin
yeah.
and our shop.
Mhm.
Did
Did,
Chotong come up with the idea of like shooting short videos and upload it onto Douyin or TikTok?
It was actually not my idea.
Really?
I mean, it
really?
was actually your idea.
It's his
Well,
idea, but the operation of this social media
The
is in
beginning,
your
the
hands.
beginning wasn't me. It
Uh-huh.
was only Adrian
But the
and
daily operations, I mean,
yeah, so the daily operation is definitely her now.
Mm.
mm-hmm,
Like at the beginning when I started the Douyin,
Mm.
um, uh, it was just me at home cooking, right?
mm-hmm.
And then now that we have this pizzeria, she is the one who's responsible for, I mean, the filming. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even just the preparation of the idea of like, what is this video gonna be about, right?
Because that's Chotong's major, right? What do you
Right.
call it?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
yeah, media.
Mm.
You majored communication and media in
Hmm.
university, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
tell us like what you do when you prepare for the production of a video, like what you're responsible for.
I I mean, at the beginning, I didn't really how to say it um not very confident about this account
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
until we have this restaurant. I
Mm-hmm.
feel more responsible.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should this restaurant in this little village, nobody would come,
Mm.
like, because this is so far, and
Uh-huh.
like
Right.
we have to use social media.
Mm.
So I just feel like I have to do something. I
Mm.
have to make some stories.
Mm.
And actually, when we got here, the village is, I just feel like it's so, give me that peaceful um,
This
feeling.
tranquility here.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the villagers, they're just so cute.
Uh,
And I just feel like we can, you know, make kind of like, how to say it, a great relationship with them.
Mhm.
So that's the basic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. That's the foundation of
Yeah,
like the
that's the
stories that we
foundation.
make here.
Yeah.
You guys kind of build a strong bond with these local residents and villagers. I
Yes.
could tell that for the past couple of days, I talked with a lot of villagers, and everybody knew there is a restaurant called 卓文的小食堂 or
Mm.
卓文's Little Restaurant. Everybody knows 卓文.
Mm.
Yeah.
you're a celebrity here.
Mhm.
But yeah, when talking about the location of this village, I understand you had several location choices before choosing Nanshinan village for your pizzeria. What led to that decision? So what
I mean,
led
that's
to?
interesting that you say that. Yeah, actually, last year I had spent some time in another village in northern part of Huangshan,
Mm,
which is actually a wonderful place called Tangjiazhuang. And I had considered kind of doing something similar to this over there, and also participating in the countryside beautification
mm,
project. Um, but in the end, I ended up not doing it there for the sole reason of the distance. It's like a 2-hour drive from here
no,
in
that's too
Tunxi,
far, right?
Very
and
far.
I
Mm,
work at the
Mhm.
university, and so it wasn't really feasible.
mm,
And then when we came across Nanshinan and we heard that there was this project here, we were really excited. And actually, we were invited to come here. And even in Nanshinan, we looked around and we saw several different houses that were potentially available. But it wasn't until this one was available that we actually made the final decision.
mm,
Um, and I think it was a good decision.
mm.
Yeah.
And this village is of a thousand, over 1,000 year old, right?
Yeah, so it's an ancient village, and there
Mm,
are still some relatively um decrepit ancient buildings left
Mhm.
in the village center. And I actually walked by the other day. I see they're doing some refurbishing, some
mm-hmm,
reconstruction
mm,
to kind of maybe open it up to the public as a tourist
Mhm.
destination of some kind, which I think is great.
mm.
And so, yeah, it is an ancient village with an ancient history. Um, and now it also has a kind of a new
Mhm.
modern face to
Right,
it.
and
Yeah.
some new touch to um, the uniqueness, if you will, of
Right.
this village.
Mhm.
And also, villagers here produce a lot of soy products. Have you thought of, or have you incorporated or integrated those products into your pizza?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have actually.
Uh,
So Nanshinan is a very large tofu
Village.
production
Mhm.
right.
village. They produce most of the tofu for Tunxi, the
Mm,
city
Mhm.
down the way a little bit. Um, and they make really good tofu, obviously. And so for our pizza, actually, we've made two different pizzas that use the local tofu, two different kinds. One is the preserved bean curd, the preserved tofu, which is really salty and spicy,
mm-hmm.
and it has kind of a preserved flavor. A little bit stinky.
Right.
Um,
It's just a
and
smell of being fermented. It's not just not really that stinky,
n
like a durian or something like that.
no, it's not. It doesn't smell bad, but it
Mm,
has a potent touch,
right.
right? And then the other pizza we have is the Mao tofu, which is the hairy tofu,
Mm.
which is a unique specialty to Huangshan, to Huizhou. Um, and so we made a pizza with the hairy tofu, which is
Right.
also really good.
It smells stinky but tastes great.
Yeah, there's a lot of food like that that, smells not so appealing, but it tastes delicious. Yeah.
Quite Chinese.
Yeah, quite Chinese.
Just now, Chiu Tong talked about the operation of your social media account. I can absolutely relate to that because I've been running a Facebook account on my own for almost a year. I understand that there's a time, especially at the first couple of months of this operation, when you keep posting every day and making a lot of videos, but there were no people watching them. How did you feel back then?
It's actually, you have to be honest with this question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, obviously, you would feel like very disappointed if the video, like, I spent like hours, days to make that video and nobody
Watched it.
watched it.
Right.
Yeah.
Felt a little bit frustrated in the very
Yeah.
beginning.
Totally.
Yeah.
And even today still, like not every video or set of photos gets, good
Popped.
promotion or whatever.
Mhm.
Some blow up, but most don't, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
And so
We were kind of lucky. The
yeah,
first one we
we were really lucky.
got very, very.
But I think,
Popped,
it's
yeah.
based on the story that we made. I mean, I think what we're doing here is something that interests people.
Mm.
Like the fact that I'm here in the countryside opening this pizza shop and I'm making relationships with the locals, learning about the local specialties. Like I think it's a pretty interesting story um and from the reaction that we get online, it seems that a lot of other people think it's interesting as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's a turning point of your business. And I mean, how did you find your selling point? The selling
Selling
point
point.
that you know that, okay, if I make hamburger, it doesn't work. But if I make pizza, that it will be well received.
I think hamburgers would be well received too. I
I
mean,
think so too. It's this oven. This
Yeah.
oven just like
right. That's
fits
the
the
thing.
village.
Being persistent is very important, right?
Being persistent, definitely. And like, yeah, I mean, like she said, our oven is what really makes our place special.
Yeah.
We have a wood-fired, traditional, like Italian style pizza oven, which is really
Quite
unique.
novel, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it's quite novel. People don't really know what it is. They don't know how it works. They've never seen it before. And
Right.
so I think that's been kind of an important key to like what attracts people to this place and kind of what makes us different from everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, since when did you start to realize that everybody begins to know Zhuowen's restaurant?
You've been like quite famous in this town.
Yeah,
For quite
like
well.
a superstar.
No.
Last night when I ate something at the entrance of his restaurant, I just saw some passersby, maybe travelers and villagers. When they passed by this restaurant, they would point it at this gate and say, "Oh, look, that's 卓文的小食堂. That's 卓文's little restaurant." Everybody knows him. Everybody knows this restaurant. Since when did you start to realize that?
Yeah.
It's not like a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I don't know. It's been a year. I feel like.
Yeah.
Don't you think so?
Yeah.
Since the
I mean, with the pizza, it's
going.
like pretty much very like quickly after we opened because we kind of had this explosive opening where we had videos that got really good reactions. Lots of people were watching them.
data.
And tons of people coming here. And so it was kind of overnight that kind of everybody in Huangshan almost like knew about 卓文的小食堂.
I think it's because of the first video we posted.
Right.
Yeah.
What changes did this overnight fame bring to your life and this village?
Uh, any changes to our life? No, right?
But hard
Really?
work pays off.
Um, any changes? Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
Really?
I mean,
What
like she said,
changes?
I've always kind of, I mean, first of all, I stand out from the crowd
Mhm.
here in Huangshan. Like,
Mm.
there aren't a lot of white people here. Um, and then I've been doing my social media for 2 years now, and people do. Some people see the videos, and like oftentimes when I go out, they're like, "Oh, you're Joel, right?"
Mm.
Like, "Oh,
Mm.
I saw your video about this or that or whatever." And so that's been happening for already a year or two. But then
Mhm.
once we opened
Changes.
this pizza shop, it kind of doubled or tripled that everybody knew about this pizza shop. And yeah, that was because of the first video that we made where we said, I'm opening a pizza shop in the Chinese countryside, right?
A foreigner.
Yeah, it blew up, right? And so the
It's a very
changes
good
that it
selling
had for
point.
us, I mean, I don't know, nothing really.
I mean,
We just do what we need to do,
Mm.
right? Do
Mm.
the work that we,
at least you make
yeah.
like wonderful pizza.
Yeah, I've,
You used to don't have this skill.
right.
You
Yeah.
made a
And
lot of friends here.
Yeah.
Yeah, make a
oh
lot of
yeah, that's
friends.
true. Yes, that's true.
And do you work like almost every day, 7 days a week?
I work 7 days a week.
24/7.
Very
Yeah.
hard worker. But have you been, during your daily operation of this pizza restaurant,
Mhm.
have you been in a situation where you disagree with each other? Like,
Who has the final say?
yeah.
Who calls the shots?
Do we ever disagree with each other?
No.
Perfect.
So harmonious, right?
I
that's
got
how
it.
that's how we
Uh.
treat each other. We respect each other
Mm.
like most of the time. I mean, obviously there's like some disagreement.
But I guess it's Childong who calls the shots.
Why you say that?
That's a common phenomenon in
That
China.
makes sense.
I mean,
She definitely gets the last word.
Right.
It has to be like that.
Right.
it's because you love me and respect me.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so
That's right.
sweet.
Do you remember like the biggest fight you ever had?
Too many.
About what? About
Name it.
operating? Yeah, operating this.
No, we work very well together. I mean, from the first time when we moved to Huangshan, we started running a business together. We used to run an English training school. So, we've been working together for a long time.
A long, long, long
Right.
time.
Not only working on our relationship, but also working, as business owners or whatever.
different roles.
Yeah. So yeah, and we have different roles.
Let's talk a little bit about your business operation. How's your business been faring since opening months ago? It's become the must-try restaurant in the village, and I learned that people from Chongqing even traveled thousands of miles just for a bite of your signature pizza.
Yeah, I mean it has been, especially. I mean we started during summer vacation, right?
Right.
And so during the holidays,
Yeah.
every day was busy, and we
Very
had just
busy.
opened, and so, there were everybody in the city and then even around the country because they've seen our videos, really wanted to come and check it out. And now, I mean, it's mid-November now. The weather's getting
Cold.
colder. Last week was raining. But basically now, since the semester has started and people are back to work, it's stabilized. Basically, the weekends are busy because we're a little tourist town. That on the weekends people want to go out and have a good time, enjoy the countryside, enjoy the sunshine,
Yeah.
and so they'll come here. But during the week, business is pretty slow,
Right.
right? People are working; they don't have time to come to Naishinan and
Yeah.
enjoy the sunshine.
It also gives you some break.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. It gives us a break.
Yeah, exactly. We enjoy this kind of like
Yeah. It's actually more what we wanted from the
Situation.
beginning. Like,
Yeah.
we came to Naishinan and opened this pizza shop not because we wanted to make a bunch of money.
Right.
Because if you want to do business, you don't do business here.
right.
We came here because we enjoy this environment, and we enjoy the peace and quiet of the
The
countryside.
mountains.
But then
the
at the same
river.
time, right, the mountains, the river, But then at the same time, we're close to the city, we're close to our home, so everything's convenient. It's like the best
Mhm.
of both worlds.
Yeah.
There's no traffic jam and no parking fees.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. No traffic jam,
Yeah.
no parking fees.
Well, Adrian, you're kind of you have multiple roles: a
Mm.
teacher at a local school, an owner of a pizza restaurant, and also a rural ambassador. Tell us about this rural ambassador.
Well, wait, let's first say I'm a teacher at the university here.
Uh-huh.
She is the owner of a restaurant.
See,
All right.
see who has the final say.
Gotta straighten that up
Uh-huh.
at first.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I am
And-
I'm her personal assistant.
Oh, and a cook.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Didn't your
Um,
boss give you any,
My
you
boss.
know, yeah, instructions or orders?
Well, yeah, I mean, so she's the boss of the restaurant, and she definitely gives me instructions and orders on what I need to do in the
Like what?
restaurant. Like, make better pizza.
Then, yeah, you both mentioned that you didn't expect too much from this pizzeria, but have you met any challenges when operating it, big or small?
Boss chill.
Uh,
Any
Oh my God.
challenges?
any challenges?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like a challenge, no?
I
Like-
mean, it's definitely a challenge. We just in general, we've never opened a restaurant before,
Right.
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So it
We
has
don't have
been
that much
a steep
experiment.
learning curve, right? We have no experience with the restaurant business.
The management, right?
Yeah, and so that's been a challenge.
And yeah.
And well, what else? We're here in the countryside, which is already a challenge if you want to do business. And so she kind of spends a lot of her time thinking on how are we going to get more likes on our videos? Like what
Yeah,
story can we
feel pressure.
do that's appealing to people? How can we get people, more people to know about us and to come here, right? And so she feels a lot of pressure there, and which is kind of the pressure that I don't really have, like, 'cause it's kind of all on her.
Then what about the villagers? We saw, some of them would just walk in randomly. Would that interrupt your business?
Oh no, it's fine. I mean, at the beginning, it was kind of. I mean, we weren't really sure how we were supposed to deal with that, like, But the way I feel is that this is their home. Like I'm here, doing this, but I can't. It's an open place. It's a public place. Like anybody can come in. Technically, and yeah, so no, we're very friendly with the locals.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw that.
And very patient with, any kind of, you know, behavior that might seem odd in a city, but which is actually quite normal in the countryside. But in general, like we have really good relationships with our neighbors.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you interact with them a lot?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, my neighbor across the street, we say hi every morning, and he helps me with anything that we need. And there's this little boy who comes here every day. He's come since the very, very beginning, and we're really close with his family, with his grandma and his grandma's sister. And they actually both work here, actually. And so we've become very close. I feel like we're kind of creating a kind of a new kind of little family. Everybody treats
That's nice.
everybody really lovingly.
Do you buy some products a lot or from local farmers or?
Yes. Like we buy rice, oil, like
I mean,
from Lao, like the cross.
Uh,
They have a little shop, and sometimes we buy some veggies.
yeah, we buy a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
Or
Is that-
even the grandmas, they just bring veggies that they grow themselves from their house. And, she cooks up a nice meal for everybody. My salted mandarin fish comes from the shop across the way. So, yeah.
yeah.
I saw you buy some tofu, sliced tofu the other day. You remember?
Oh,
Tofu
tofu
gan.
gan.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Tofu, dry tofu.
Dry
Dry
tofu, yeah.
tofu. Well, Adrian, being in China for for 10 years, you must have noticed the transformation of the vast rural areas in China. So, what do you appreciate most about the country's rural revitalization drive?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about rural revitalization.
Revitalization, since you are a rural ambassador,
What do I appreciate the most?
what's your
No, no, first,
perspective?
yeah,
Mm.
tell us your first response to that being appointed as a rural ambassador first.
Well, so, uh, I mean, yeah, over the past year or so, when I've gone to many different villages in the
Mm,
countryside here, um, I've seen a lot of, uh, new economic development in these little villages. Mostly, I mean, here we're a tourist city, right? And so everything's kind of based on tourism.
Yeah.
And so most of what you see is little like boutique hotels and things like that. But you can see a transformation in these villages themselves from just a simple village with absolutely no economy whatsoever,
Mm.
and people just kind of getting on, right? They grow what they need, and they can survive, but there's not a lot of opportunity available to them.
True.
And so now with the stimulation of these tiny local economies through, the rural revitalization projects, I think you can see an improvement. Um, and one thing that's really obvious to see is just the general environment
Mm.
has been improved. Like it's cleaner. Um, there's more basic infrastructure,
Mm.
things like that that are
mm,
pretty basic things that didn't exist before that definitely are are
Mm.
are better now.
That
mm.
when local people tell you that, Adrian, would you please be our ambassador, rural ambassador for us? What's your first response?
Are you sure? um,
Mm,
yeah, I mean, sure, great, wonderful. Um, I'm I think it's like I said, it's a unique opportunity for me personally as
mm,
well. Like it's a learning experience for me as well. So it's kind of like a win-win, I suppose.
Mm.
mm.
Did you lay out what you need to do as a rural ambassador when 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 you got this information or?
Well, when I mean they ask me to go to this village and kind of, maybe film something um or promote it in some way. I first ask, what's happening in this village. I need to understand, the general premise,
Mm.
um, and make sure I'm,
Mm,
uh, that I can actually do the job,
mm,
or at least, that I,
mm,
yeah, that I can actually do something, right?
mm,
You don't want me to go to this village and for me to not be useful in any way, right?
mm.
Mm. But
So,
you
mm,
are
mm,
a rural ambassador already, doing what you're doing right now, right?
mm,
Right, and so that's kind of how I see it too, because it's not really an official title.
Yeah.
mm,
But what we do here with Zhou and the Xiaoshitang in Nanxinan, I think is a part of that,
Mm.
right?
mhm,
We definitely promote this village, every day
mm,
with the pizza, with our videos. We bring different cultures, different cuisines together, right? And we promote it online. And so I think, what we represent here is really meaningful and significant because we represent the, the immersion and
Mm.
the coming together of people, of cultures, and then, because we are here and um, we kind of see the village
mhm,
from a different perspective,
Right.
mhm,
right? And we kind of give a new, like a new light, a new
mm,
side to this village,
mm,
that we get attention, and then the village also gets more
mm.
attention.
So you guys don't think it's a burden, this new role for Adrian?
Are you concerned that when being a rural ambassador may distract Adrian from your business.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, actually, this little shop is like closely like linked to the village. Like, we get inspiration from the locals from the village every day. Like, like we get like um local ingredients to make pizzas, like the pumpkin pizza and the mao tofu pizza. And I think we should be like proud of this, like being like a rural ambassador, right?
Right.
Mm.
It's definitely
Yeah.
something to be proud of, and
Actually, we should be more responsible for it.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what we mean. It comes with a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah.
And
And
Adrian has been juggling so many roles.
yeah, I can vision someday they grant you a formal, certificate, if you will, with this rural ambassador, the characters on it. At that time, you would feel
It suits
more
you. It's your identify.
right.
My identity.
Identity.
A brand new identity.
Yeah.
It
Talk-
does suit me.
And talk a little bit more about the phenomenon of internet influencers
Well,
here.
many internet influencers have been emerging on Chinese social media, who like Adrian, they want to gain a huge following. To what extent do you think these groups of people may help with the cause of rural revitalization?
So you mean to what extent can online influencers
Yeah, it's like asking an
benefit
expert here.
benefit rural revitalization?
Yeah,
Mm.
influencers like you.
Well, I mean, if you don't have an online presence today, it's hard to get any kind of publicity.
Mm,
And with rural revitalization, we are focusing a lot on the stimulation of the local economy, right?
Mm.
And so if you don't have any kind of publicity, people don't know about you, then it'll be difficult for people to go there and and spend money, right? And stimulate the economy. So, yeah, an online presence is extremely important, and we are proof of that
Mm.
because here in Naisinan, if 卓文的小食堂 wasn't here, and if we weren't posting videos all the time and getting a pretty good following,
Mm.
I'm afraid that Naisinan wouldn't look how it looks today, right?
That's true.
And it wouldn't be the success story
Mm.
that it is today. And so I think it's proof that if you want to successfully do any kind of countryside revitalization, that you cannot overlook this online presence.
Mm.
Right?
But on the other side, there is always two sides to
Mm.
one thing. But you said you look forward to a quiet life in villages. But as you become increasingly renowned in this place or even across the country, are you concerned that your peaceful life may be,
Will be at a cost.
right, interrupted, or
Yes.
that's what you've been chasing for originally, right?
Gotta find the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to find a balance.
Yeah. If there's like nobody come, no business, I don't think we will feel like
Mm.
happy or like we want to,
Yeah.
make the life,
Mm.
more balanced.
Sometimes
Making money and try to find some
Peaceful
peaceful
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so
That's a challenge actually.
Yeah, that is a
Right.
challenge. That is a challenge. So I mean, totally. I think we have, like, because from our original idea of this shop, obviously we didn't come here to do real business. Really, we came here because we like it. It's really
Mm.
simple. We like it, and we make videos, and we
Just for
thought,
fun.
yeah, just for fun. And it's a good theme for us to make videos because actually what we did before, we weren't business owners, we weren't restaurant owners, we were content creators.
Mm.
Um, and so we thought this would be a great place to create content, and it is a great place to create content. And then the result of creating this this content that people really like is that we get a lot of business, right?
Right.
And so that was kind of something that we didn't expect.
Right.
Um, but it's good because at the beginning, we had really good business, and we were like, wow, we can do this. We can really successfully open a restaurant, and we can make, a profit of some kind. And then now the winter's coming along, and things are dying down a little bit, and we're finding more peace, more time to relax. And we're thinking about, okay, well, so what's next? Like,
Yeah.
what do we do now? Like, now that we have this extra time, we kind of stabilize the restaurant, like, where do we go from here? Right? And so it actually gives us time to slow down,
To think.
think about it, and try to figure that out.
You probably didn't aim to aim for what you've got right now, or aim to attend or be part of the country's rural revitalization
Revitalization.
campaign. But in the end, or eventually, you've become part of it, right?
Right.
So a little bit more about this campaign or drive in this country. Adrian, you also teach English at a local Huangshan University,
Yeah.
right? And what percentage of or of your students want to work in rural China in your daily communication with them?
Have you
According to your
discussed it?
I mean, that's interesting you asked that question, because actually I've noticed a change in my students over the past few years. Several years ago, obviously we talk about their futures, like what
Right.
they want and what they wish for, what they dream of, where they see themselves in 5 years, in 10 years, etc. And several years ago, most of my students would say, "Oh, well, I need to go to Hangzhou or Shanghai. I need to, find
more
find
economically developed
right,
areas.
right. Go to more economically developed areas where all of the resources are, where all the opportunities are."
Right.
And that's just something that they thought was their obvious next step. And recently, in the past year or two, more of my students, in fact, I think most of my students now, when I ask them the same question, very few say I want to go to Hangzhou or Shanghai or whatever.
Oh.
They say I want to go back to my hometown. Um, and I think there's a lot. There's more than just countryside revitalization that plays a part in this. Like, I mean, societal pressure is really high. There's a lot of it's difficult to land a good job in the big cities, etc. So there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of anxiety that these students have. But I think they also see that there's kind of a shift in focus and a shift in resources that's leaving the city and going back to their hometowns. And I'm sure they can see that, there's more investment in their hometowns. And so, as university graduates, they say, well, there is a chance for me to find a job in my hometown. All right. And I think, as for rural places or the countryside, I don't think they're there quite yet, because they're English majors. Most of them are probably going to be English teachers,
Right.
and so they have to be in a place where there's a school, right?
That's true.
But they do see a change in what's happening nationally, where there's kind of a shift in resources from not only the big cities, but now in the smaller cities.
Did you count how many of them?
Well, it's definitely the majority now. The majority of my
Oh,
students
I
don't
didn't
want to
expect
go
that.
to Hangzhou or Shanghai.
It's also
Right.
because the pandemic, I think.
The epidemic? Oh, the
Yeah.
pandemic? No, I don't think
Yesterday,
so.
your friend Xiao Yan told me that she doesn't want to be an office lady. The headquarters of her company is in Shanghai, but she prefers working here. She wants to be a village lady, Miss Dong,
Well, I think
with long
this
hair.
whole process is what you've experienced in your home country, the United States, right? Do you see any similarities there between the two countries when it comes to, going back to villages?
No, I don't see any similarities. Um, in the States, there aren't a lot of centralized government programs that are putting a lot of investment in rural infrastructure,
Um,
unfortunately. But actually, I have recently um, read a couple articles about something that is, to me, I think the most similar to what we're seeing here in China,
mm,
where there is a government program and they are investing in this program where uh, they're finding farms,
mm,
right, that are having trouble selling their goods, and they're giving those goods from the farm a direct route to local schools,
right.
and so that gives this farm, a reliable income because the schools and the local government are now um, their customers,
Mm,
and then it also gives the students fresh food,
yeah.
right? Which is kind of rare in a lot of American schools. Like a lot of American schools don't necessarily use the freshest ingredients. Maybe it's pre-made food, stuff
Mm.
like that.
I noticed that too.
Yeah, and so it's a win-win,
That's a good idea.
because these
Mm.
farms are struggling, right? These farmers are
Yeah.
struggling because they're small businesses. They're not Monsanto. They're not these huge
Right.
international farm corporations, right? Or agricultural corporations. Just little local farms, right?
Mm.
Which need help. And so I think it's really important and great that the central government or the local government is investing in these programs, helping these farmers,
Mm.
and then at the same time offering cheap, fresh food to the schools.
But on the other hand, do you think it's the government interferes too much? Because, people are saying it's free market. You don't have to, um,
No, I don't. The, you can only let the market be free to a certain extent. Like I'm not a free marketist. Um, I think I think it's important that government exists and helps money get into the right people's hands.
mm,
Um, and that's a controversial issue,
mm,
obviously.
Well,
right.
But
authorities are
yeah.
calling on young graduates to go to rural areas for work. How may such cause be more persuasive to young people?
You mean
Yesterday I saw some young girls coming here.
mm,
They started their small businesses here at this
Mm.
village.
hmm
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I I think it's great. But at the same time, it's also I mean, it's a decision that if you make this decision, it's not for money,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Because so far at least, like if your only intent is to do business, right, and make as much money as you can, then it's not the best decision.
Mm.
But if you value other things, right? If you
Right.
don't only value money,
Mm.
then then I definitely recommend doing something like that because sure, you can make a little money enough to live, like nobody's trying to get rich.
But they
Mm.
also do social media,
Right.
right?
It gives you a chance to do social media,
Mm.
right? You can enjoy a unique environment different from the city. Um, yeah, and I think, me being here doing this and, all of my students at the university know that I'm doing this. I think it probably does have an influence on them
Yeah,
in some
we're
kind.
actually giving them like a good
A good
example.
example,
Example.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, hey, oh, you can do this.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
you can go to the countryside, you can start a business, whatever you want, right? You be creative, right? You can do social media.
Mm.
Yeah. And you
Uh,
can get a really good lifestyle,
yeah,
Make money and enjoy your life
yeah.
Yeah, and I
at the
noticed
same
that
time.
many internet influencers started to coming into rural areas and sharing various videos on Chinese social media, and perhaps that's one of the reasons that drive them there, right?
Mm.
Mm.
Has Chotong given any thought about this? The government's policies. How can they be more persuasive to the young people in the country?
like Chutong, you graduated from a university in Sichuan, Chengdu, right? It's a
Yes.
big city, and you chose to work here, start your business here in this small village. What policies can help those students graduated in like famous universities in big cities choose to study or work and live in small villages? What policies can like act as incentives,
Yeah, 创业基金,
创业基金.
Oh,
资金,
money, fund?
money.
funds
Of
with more
course.
funds,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
capital.
At
Mhm.
least like some, give them like a start.
Yeah,
What
of
about
course.
human capital? Like talent.
Talents.
We need more human resources, right?
Yeah.
Especially if they came just blindly and trying to imitate some
Mm.
what you are doing here, probably they won't succeed.
No, they don't. You shouldn't imitate, but
Mm.
you see uh, that it's possible, and you have to be creative yourself as well.
Mm.
Um, but I think to persuade or stimulate young people to go to the countryside and start a business,
Mm.
I think is a very difficult thing to do. And if you don't have subsidies, if you don't have
Mm.
funds or money to persuade them, then nobody's going to do it. Um, and I mean, and that's what part of this is all about, though. Like
Mm.
what we have here in Nanshinan, we have nine we have 9 or 10 or even more now
Mm.
new businesses here. Like these businesses, including us, we were all subsidized by the government,
Mm.
right? So we participated in this project with government subsidy, right? And if we didn't have that, then we wouldn't be here as well,
Mm.
right?
But what about red tapes you've ever
Red tape.
encountered?
Oh,
Yeah,
mm.
any limits or restrictions that you feel, well, if they can be dropped or
Oh,
scrapped, I mean.
no, I mean we were invited here. We were
Right.
given a lot of support. Um, whenever we had problems, we would solve it.
Mm.
Um, and so limitations, no, I don't feel limited. I feel like we're free to be creative. We're free to be here and do what we think is best.
Hmm.
But we were given this opportunity,
Mm.
right? We didn't, we weren't like, oh, I want to open a restaurant and I know the best place to do it is in Nanshinan. No, look, we were
Mm.
invited to come here and there was a policy, right?
Mm.
There were subsidies, right?
Mm.
And I think that's, I mean, that's an important part
Mm.
of um, stimulating young people to go back to the countryside.
What
Of
about the
course.
sustainable growth of your business? I mean, is there any policy that can help young people to not just come here, but really stay here, can retain these young talents?
Yeah.
Like what Jingdezhen did.
Mm.
It's good. Like they offer like a place, like an area for those
Mm.
students who just
Accommodations
yeah
or
graduated. And
Incubation center,
yeah,
like that.
They give
yeah,
them a
they gave
place
them a place
to
to
Mm.
start.
start a small
Yeah,
business.
a small
Mm.
business.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, and so yeah, that would happen here in the countryside too, and that's what happened here for us. Like
Mhm.
right.
I
It's the same
offer
thing.
you a place, you come here, you bring your talent. Like you
Right.
said something about human
Mm.
resources, right?
Mm.
The resources that we want coming to the countryside are these young college graduates,
Right.
right?
Mm.
They're the human talent, but how do we get that talent here,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And so, you know, as a university graduate, why in your right mind would you go to the countryside
Yeah.
and start a business rather than go to a place where you know there's a strong, thriving
Mm.
economy, right?
Mm.
If you were a local government officer
Mm.
or official,
Mm.
what kind of policy would you introduce?
Well, I mean, it depends on what your local specialty is, right?
Just
And
take this,
who your audience is.
right? The, for instance, here in Nanshinan or in other villages of Huangshan,
Yeah, I mean, let's see here. So here in Nanxinan, we're in Huangshan. It's a tourist destination. We have Huangshan University, right? No, but I mean, I think that Nanxinan needs more than what we have now, right? And we do
In
need to
terms of,
continue to attract more young people
right?
to do interesting things here. Like it can be anything. It can be artistic, right? Huangshan Xueyuan, we have an art, a department of the arts, right? You could totally offer a space where young artists can come and practice, right? They can live in this peaceful environment. They can be inspired by nature, right? They can be inspired by the locals, right? And they can create, right? And that naturally is is an attraction, right? That tourists would be interested in, right? And then these young graduates could sell their pieces, right? Um, and it just creates a platform, right?
Right.
Um,
Platform.
and so I think that could be part of what we do here. That could be something that if I were a local official,
Yeah,
that I
obviously.
could consider, right?
And
I
And
know.
then tell us your future plan.
Our future plan.
Yeah. It's like a must answer question.
future plan.
Make
With
more
the
pizza.
pizzeria.
Make more pizza. Open another few pizzerias.
Yeah, I
like
mean,
in
I
China.
understand you got this challenge of creating 100, making 100 types of pizzas.
Yeah, something
Oh
we
yes.
gave ourselves.
Yes. Make
Right.
100 types of pizza.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, one day
Halfway
we'll
through
make.
already.
Well, no, not halfway through. It's a slow process.
Right.
Like I said, we're busy operating the business, and so until recently, we don't really have a lot of time to slow down and do other things. Um, but yeah, we would like to continue to participate in countryside projects. We feel that 卓文的小食堂 is a wonderful addition to the countryside.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just is suited to the countryside, and I feel like we're not suited to the city scene. Like what we do is very kind of countryside style, and so Nanshinan is really wonderful. But there are many wonderful villages
Villages.
around Huangshan, and it would be cool if we could not only promote Nanshinan, but we could continue to promote other
Other
local
villages.
villages in Huangshan as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Another like a more ambitious plan to extend it across the country.
Step by step.
Baby steps, baby steps. Yeah.
Yeah, Adrian's food chain.
Yeah, that could be nice. And I
Wow.
remember when we talked about your home state, Arizona, that day, you told me you're Chinese. That surprised me a little bit. Why would you say that? Did you say it out of politeness?
Because we are Chinese.
What did I say? I said I was Chinese.
Yeah.
Wow.
I heard that
Yeah.
also.
I mean, I'm Chinese in my heart.
He is. He is.
Right.
He's very Chinese in so many ways.
Your plan as a Chinese.
Uh,
Your future plan.
my future plan.
That's
I mean,
quite a Chinese.
I mean, I've spent my entire adult life here in China, and so yeah, I do feel like I'm Chinese. But I'm a global citizen, right?
Yep.
都是地球村，对吧？So we're all global citizens,
Yeah,
right? And
coming up with some
Right.
little small global citizens
yeah,
in the coming years.
maybe. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I think that's important. That we should all try to be global citizens. That we should all be open-minded to different people and different cultures and different
Yes.
cuisines
Yes.
and different languages and different customs, right? And that we should actively sit down and meet with people who come from different backgrounds and different beliefs, and take the time to talk and communicate and share food right?
Mm.
And so I think that's, kind of what 卓文的小食堂 also is a representation of,
Yeah.
is just how cultures can clash
Mm.
and then how cultures can come together and become one.
Mm.
And I think that's kind of who I am, right?
Mm.
Because I'm American, but my father's French, and um, and I grew up in kind of a European culture family in America, and now I'm very Chinese, and so it's just all of these cultures coming together that
Mm.
make me, right? And that's my identity, and I feel like I like to share that with the people around me, and I definitely think that's an extremely part of being a citizen of
A
the world.
melting pie,
Yeah,
like what
yeah,
you did
mm,
with the
卓文
pizzas.
yeah,
卓文的小食堂 or
They-
卓文's little restaurant is more than just a restaurant.
Restaurant.
Right.
Exactly.
Oh, that's some beautiful remarks.
Mm.
And what we need is a like melting pot, and that's how we describe America, right?
Mm.
It's like
a melting pot.
right.
Melting pie.
Yeah.
An extra question about China-U.S. relations. It's a little bit far from your pizzeria, but as an American living in China, um, have you met any difficult times when the bilateral relations encountered some problems?
Mm, difficult times, no. Um, but luckily I have dual citizenship, so I can freely say I'm French.
Right?
And sometimes that goes off more smoothly. But no. In general, like,
They are very friendly.
yeah,
Chinese
people are
people.
very
Yeah.
friendly and warm. Um, and, to be honest, like, the general public still holds America in a relatively positive light.
Mm.
Not 100% positive. Obviously, there are, problems as well. But, uh, people like America. They like American culture. Um, and and to be honest, like, we don't put the geopolitical situation and difference in political ideologies on the individual level.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
ordinary.
people are individuals, right?
Mm.
And then so we shouldn't put all of that onto an individual. Also, on another note is that I have been in China for many years, and I have tried
Mm.
very hard to learn the language and understand the culture. And so I live in China, and I communicate with Chinese people in fluent Chinese, and they ask me where I'm from. I say I'm American. But yeah, sure, I'm from America, but I have the ability to communicate with you, on the same level, right? And so, you know, this I mean, that's important. Like, if I were just somebody who had no understanding of Chinese language and Chinese culture, and I was just kind of living on the outside, then that's different. That's not something that demands respect of any kind, right? But when you have spent so many years immersing yourself into the culture and the language and understanding the people, I think it makes a difference.
Right.
Right.
Communication is very
Yeah.
important. And luckily, we see some silver lining in bilateral relations, right?
Yeah, we do.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, it's a big step.
Yeah.
It's a big step that President Xi has traveled across the big pond, and he's visiting with the American president right now.
Yeah.
And it's a good sign. It's
Yeah,
a good
that's a
sign.
good
It's
sign.
been a while.
not only for bilateral relations or geopolitically,
Mhm.
but also for people-to-people exchanges,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah, and I think it's important to remember that. I don't know. It doesn't matter what country you come from, like what nationality you are. I mean, people can communicate eye to eye,
Mm.
and even if you have different opinions about certain things, it doesn't really matter that much. Like, we shouldn't put so much importance on that kind of stuff, and we should just try to find common ground, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And enjoy each other's company, right?
Mm. enjoy the food that we can share with each other,
That's
like
right.
your pizza.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, and with that, we've come to the end of today's chat. All the best with your pizzeria and life in China.
Thank you.
Can't wait to have a bite. Can we have it now?
Let's
Can't wait.
try. Here.
Yay! Yay!
Oh, 再尴尬。
可以站起来，
You first.
来 sorry.
可以动，可以下来。对
Let me try this one.
，right。
Stinky mandarin.
Oh
Fish
no.
pizza.
Oh, that's okay. It's just
That's
an onion.
okay. It's just onion.
Mmm,
It's burned.
really nice.
Tastes great.
This is CGTN Radio. Hear the difference.